Good morning, my name is Jay Song. Everything in these videos is never financial investment or trading advice of any kind. Everything is just for entertainment, educational, and comedic purposes only. I eat red crayons for breakfast. Trading in the markets carries substantial risk. Never trade more than you can afford to lose, and especially be aware against high leverage trading. Alright, good morning everybody. Alright, today, flats analysis, lessons 1 through 3. We've been on lesson number 3. Lessons unit 1 through 3. We are on unit number 3, sword cuts. Last week was step ups. We finished the previous sessions of unit 2 before, and these are all the flat lines. They're just flat lines we draw to help us understand the sword method. So if you've been going through the sword method lessons 1 through 10, we are currently on lesson number 9. Okay, so unit 3B, sword cuts for B, and C, thunder cuts will be next week. Let's get into it. Sword cuts. Sword cuts fall into the concept type of reversal. And what this means is that we can use sword cuts to help us find areas where price should be looking to reverse in advance. These are going to also be, and we also put into the category of reversal the word broken trends. Okay, this is basically when we have price trending in one direction and that has been broken, because that's when we use that. So they are part of the reversal and broken trend areas, but since the broken trends mean reversal in themselves, we are just going to categorize it to reversal. Okay, you'll see me use that word. The family type is flat. It's just a flat line we draw, and the color we use is orange. So let's talk about the details and how we trade these. Sword cuts are flat lines that are created when price is significantly, and that's the key word, significantly moving across a key angle or a phantom angle or a parabolic angle. Sword cuts act very similar to mid-phantoms. Our whole method is named after sword cuts. It was one of the very first discoveries I made about key angles, just observing this so much. Okay, so they act very much like mid-phantoms, which was great because our last lesson was step-ups, and we get those from the mid-phantom step-ups. Sword cuts act very similarly to mid-phantom cuts, which are called step-ups, taught in lesson number 8. Sword cuts are primarily used with key angles, just like the straight key angles, or what we sometimes just categorize as straights, as to find, put an A there, melody, edit that part out too. Sword cuts are primarily used with key angles as to find areas where price might be expected to find support or resistance, and can help tell us the strength of the trend. No, if price breaks above or below the key angle or a phantom with a long bar, and that's what I mean by, then more weight may be placed on the sword cut rather than just a small little break. We're going to take a look at these examples in just a moment. Also note, these can be drawn and extended out approximately the distance of the squaring of the trend that came before it. See video lesson. So we're going to talk about how far to draw the sword cuts using this. Now this is a lot different than what we used to teach when we first did sword method 1.0. Now we're in 6.0, so we're going to be using the square, and I'll show you how to do that before our lesson is over. Now, how to perform sword cut analysis. How we do it is this is for key angle type only. This means straight lines only. Number 1, we're going to identify, just like we did for mid-phantoms and all that stuff from lesson number 8, we're going to identify 2 major energy centers on one side of price, either the top or bottom. Generally, one of those, or one or more, should be round action. Number 2, for every other type, we're going to draw the relevant key angles. So once we identify those 2 energy centers, we draw our straight line. We also can use this on the phantom. So we're going to draw our relevant phantom if necessary. And we have a few examples of that. Or the parabolic price flow. So if price is going at a strong curvature, what we will do if price is going at a strong curvature, is we're going to draw that price flow, then the angle. Okay, so parabolic price flow, then the angle. So once we know that price is curving up, down, then we can draw that angle on the relevant side, which is the top side or the bottom side. We'll look at those. Okay, so number one, for straights only, we use the energy centers and draw the straight line. For all other types, we're just going to draw those lines. And then number three, we're going to draw a flat orange rectangle box. Okay, the flat orange rectangle covering the candle range where it crosses over the key angle or the phantom angle or the parabolic. So if price is curving down, when price breaks above there significantly, we're going to draw that orange rectangle there at the break. Okay, where it crosses over that key angle, phantom or parabolic. We're going to extend this line. It may be extended until price is squared. So we're going to talk about that in the video. Now I'm going to make some notes, but let's go into some examples and then we'll come back to those final notes. Okay? So let's go. Here's an example just from this week. Now this is a great example. I really like this example. This was just on Monday. So we had looked at this chart on Monday and we found a few key angles. Here's an example of these in action. This is a parabolic type. Now when we're looking at this angle, we can see that price is flowing upward at this angle. So if we were drawing the price flow, it might look something like this. That's the flow of price. And that could be further simplified into just a big shape. Sorry. That's our price flow. Then when we draw our angle, this is the area by which we broke. So in this case, that would be the shortcut for this area. And when we draw our shortcut, we would draw it as a flat orange line at the break. So we can label this one as C. Okay? So that's how that works. Okay? Very simple. In this case, it's a parabolic line that is made or formed to create that shortcut. Make sense? Okay. I'm going to take that picture of this and just include that. The next one we have is down here. This parabolic to the downside. We have a flow of price that is like this. When price breaks above this area, this is the area by which we would draw our shortcut. Now, oddly enough, this area also happens to be where the parabolic levels out. That is not always the case, but sometimes that is. In this case, we have two shortcuts, and all that would do would help strengthen that shortcut. So this means that if price were raising up for this crypto, what is this? ZEC, Zcash on KuCoin. If price comes up to maybe its resistance here and comes back down, I might be expecting price to find support at 27,830. Now we already have that number marked on your map. We also would say that if price breaks above here, we may be expecting price to find resistance at $13.104. Current price is only 41. So I know that once I'm in these territories up here, I'm probably going to find some resistance around here at the shortcut. Now the thing is, there's a target on the high side. It's very likely we might see price come over here and spike into those areas because that happens quite a bit. So it's very possible for cryptos that have shortcuts that are really near for prices to sometimes spike and find resistance at shortcuts if they're near the targets. It's a very common thing. One of the things we can look to see if that's the case is to see if there's lots of spikes in those areas. And this on the bottom side of where this energy would break, or if it is, just as it is right now, shows me we have very deep spikes, okay, or what we know as wicks. So look at the distance of those wicks. It's about that far, right? So if we hit the target, we can still spike into this area and be absolutely normal. So if we were going to take profit, some of us might want to take some profit at target. Some of us might want to take profit at the sword cut. This is something we can think of. Okay? If it all happens really soon, like if it happened a couple months ago, and price hits the resistance, we may have even spiked the sword cut just in one fell move. Sometimes if you see a lot of spikes, you can add those together and just understand that might be a long spike because we're getting spikes. The meat is still in these areas right there, but we can add all these spikes into the mix, and they may be enough to cover the distance. That means price could come up here and come right back down and still be bearish, but have hit its targets, the sword cuts. So sword cuts are very valuable to know where they are so we can keep an eye on those areas. Now let's go into some more in-depth examples. That's a real practical way of how we can use that to our advantage. Let's look at another example. Here we're looking at ENJ. This is also crypto from this week. I thought, man, these examples just from last week are fantastic. Okay, we did this crypto on Monday. Okay, ENJ. Now ENJ, we're going to draw the sword cuts. If we look at this area here, we have some core. We have core up here. We have hidden valor down here. We can draw that. But basically the run is approximately at this angle. This is where our key angle's at. And then we finally got a last one bounce here. That's our confirmation. And then we break in this area. The range for this break is approximately from here to here. We broke down significantly. We broke down significantly, and that's the key word in there. Where we break across, we can draw the flat rectangle line straight across. That is our sword cut. In this example, our sword cut is here. Here is the area we broke. Okay? So this is where we're primarily looking for structure. And here we get some structure. The flow of price came right back up and we actually rounded on that area, which was a perfect sign we're rejecting. Because remember, the type of angle that that category falls under is reversal. Okay? So this is one area we can draw the key angle. Now, something else we can use for this area, we can draw a sword cut in another spot, and I'm going to show you where it's at. If we're performing the sword cut analysis, we are drawing these angles, like our key angles, our phantoms, our parabolics, and where we cross over at the break is where we can draw those sword cuts. In this example, we could draw a sword cut right here. And we would draw a flat line right in that pocket. And this would be a sword cut. In this case, it would be a sword cut about, what is this, 28, 22, so we're talking about 26. So at 26 cents, we're looking to draw our sword cut. So that would be sword cut 1 in this case. And this would be sword cut number 2. I do not label them with numbers, but I'm just showing you for example so you can see on here. This would be 2 sword cuts in this area. Okay, so that might be something we want to do if we were performing the sword cut analysis. Now, when I was first teaching the sword method, we're going to get back to this, but when I was first teaching the sword method, I included everything in one analysis. But I understand that's difficult for people to wrap their minds around because there's so much art to the sword method. And when you're doing art, if we're drawing a picture, there is the skeleton that we draw, not a physical skeleton, but the framework, the shape, the general shape of the face, the general shape of the torso, of the hips, of the spine, of the calves. And there's a quick drawing that is done just to get the flow of what drawing will be done. And then from there, we start getting details. We start getting details, more finer and finer details. Eventually, we start getting into the shading and all that great stuff. But none of that comes without the first framework or basics. And there's a whole art that is to just the flow of the human body. There's a whole flow that is done to the flow of the line work, the weight that we put on the lines, how much weight on the lines, how they're real thick or how they're real thin. They even use different pencils for these, and then they even erase what they've done before. We have a similar thing in sword method. Our first lessons, we talk about just price flow, just getting the basic flow of price, getting the basic shapes, understanding what price is trying to tell us through basic shapes. And when we start understanding some of these things, then we can start moving on to more and more concepts. When people are trying to do method, I recommend this. I broke everything down into an analysis. When you're doing hidden balance, it's a type of analysis. When you're doing parabolic analysis or key angle analysis, step up analysis, tiger analysis, and in this case, we're calling it sword cut analysis. I don't want it to be so overwhelming. I want you to pick one skill, zero down, and practice it. Now, it's great to observe so you learn how to read and see how these analyses can overlap each other and tell a more complete and comprehensive story. But that sometimes takes a while, and people can feel overwhelmed. And in Sword Method 6.0, one of the things I'm doing to help mitigate that is by putting all the unit lessons in these analysis forms. On our website, now it's lessons 1 through 9 as we're teaching this. Click on the Show More button, and there's our full list. Lessons 1, Lessons 2, 3, 4, 5, DP projection analysis, parabolic analysis, flat analysis, Unit 1, Unit 2, 2B, step-ups analysis, and then here the whole 5.0 filming if you guys wanted more tutorials. I don't want people who are watching our method to get overwhelmed. I want you to pick some analysis and practice and use what you learn so that you're not overwhelmed. Let's continue with our lesson, right? All right, good job. Now, let's have some practice. Okay? I would like you to draw on the charts now using an example provided. Okay, let's see. All right. Can we find the missing sword cuts on here? So I would like some of us to begin to draw some of these sword cuts. Okay? Let's see. Yep, this is going to be perfect. Can somebody find where some of the sword cuts might be on this chart? Yeah, let me put myself on there. Good. Go ahead and use the zoom annotate feature. Draw right on my chart. I'd love to get you guys practicing. We have a few examples. Good. Vibrant strong one up here. There's a sword cut right there. Perfect. There's a sword cut right there. Okay, any others? There's a few more on this chart. Once you guys practice this one, I do have a more difficult, challenging one at the end. Okay. Only one? Is there only one sword cut here? I drew this one for you here. The other, you're going to have to put in some work, right, guys? Okay. There's two more that easily stand out for me. Let's see if you guys can find it. This is a daily chart for a crypto called CAS. We covered this crypto also on Monday. This one may be on Saturday. Points if you find it. Let's cover some answers. Here's some. Here's one here. The answer is back. Here's one. If we take this flow of price going down, here's the basics. Here's the basic flow of price. This is the mean of these angles. So there's a trend line down here. We break right there. Therefore, our sword cut would be approximately here. And that's where we draw our flat range. Here in this example, we can actually see price came back down to that area. Now note, it didn't come back to the low, it came back to the sword cut. Okay, remember that. That's very powerful. You guys can use this. We found the one that Vibrant found this one, which was great. Fantastic. Here's the other one. Come. Let me show you that other one, just a moment. Okay, here is the other sword cut. There could be one approximately with this flow down here. And I'm going to use, let's use a white color. Let's make it thin. Let's find the meat of that area and then the meat of this area, and maybe about that is the wick. So we got a trend line approximately here. So the sword cut would be approximately right there. So this might be an area where we will be looking to draw our next sword cut. Somewhere approximately here. And lo and behold, look at that. When price came down to these areas, is it any wonder we didn't come down to this low, right? We didn't do that. We came down to here. You guys see that? This is just a crypto we pulled up from Saturday. Maybe just Monday. Today's Wednesday. And here's 3 examples of sword cuts at work. Here for the first one in this area, we can see prices breaking past these areas, coming back up. That's a very vague one, but still works. Okay? Depending on how you drew the angle. This angle probably could be tilted down as testament to the round action right there in the sword cut. We probably want to use the wick side. And by that, if we were drawing this angle, we may want to have adjusted it for these 2 points. Okay. That makes sense? Okay. So the sword cut in this area would still be just as valid. This is how you can perform the sword cut analysis. Okay. Now, to help you guys wrap your mind around this a little bit more, let's get back to our slides. Come. I'm going to go over some notes. Okay, so we already talked about how to perform the sword cut analysis from these slides. Now we're going to talk about some notes. Okay, here's some notes that I want to emphasize regarding sword cuts. When observing sword cuts, the main focal point should be the last places price crossed over. Okay, so when we were looking at the examples, when price crosses over those areas, that's the main thing we're focused on. It's just like step-ups in that sense. Next, not every micro crossover should be drawn. Same as step-ups. And that means that sometimes it's really messy and prices just going back and forth through the line or just going straight. I sometimes don't draw step-ups, sword cuts, unless I see it significantly move down or significantly move up. Just like I said in the slides earlier, the word significantly was the one that was highlighted, okay? Significantly. See? Significantly. Next, however, they can be drawn as a range. So sword cuts can be stretched out. They're not just one flat line, and that's why I use a rectangle, because a rectangle, I can make it really wide, I can make it really thin. This is going to be dependent on a few things. If you need to draw it as a range because price is really wide and you have to stretch it out, use higher time frames. And the reason I'm using the higher time frames is to observe if the channel or the key angle is still really a key angle. Because sometimes we will draw a key angle on a daily chart, but we don't see that key angle on the weekly or the monthly chart at all. In that case, I'll make sure that the range is thin. But if I still see that I'm able to draw the key angle on the monthly, key angle on the weekly, and that same key angle on the daily chart, I'm going to probably use a wide berth or a wide range for that sword cut. Okay, it's going to be like a strong. That's why I call it by that, because it's just price cutting. That's all it really is. If so, use higher time frames to observe the channel is still a proper channel with energy centers. Okay, and that's how you can use. If you're seeing round structure, if you're seeing that the energy centers still correlate to each other, you know you're dealing. If it is, you are dealing with a larger range. Okay, because sometimes that happens. It's not just an exact flat price. Next, when drawing sword cuts, if you do not see price reacting to the sword cut, meaning it's going in and out, it's not respecting it, it usually means there's another stronger energy center at work. Okay, so there's some other energy that's happening. Look, to help you with this, look for opposing key angles. Okay, phantoms, parabolics that you may not have first observed. Always remain unbiased. So I'm like, price is not respecting my sword cut. Maybe I missed something. That's the attitude we have to have. Always, what did I miss? What did I miss? What did I miss? Because art is never about perfection. Art is an expression. Okay, art, I'm going to say that again. Art is not a perfection. Art is an expression. You're never going to find perfection because somebody's idea of perfect won't be your idea of perfect. You may love it. It may be perfect to you, but it's not perfect. It's still, there's always a vagueness to it. And we have to remember that we can give that birth to it. We can give that wide berth for that type of vagueness when it comes to art. And when you're drawing maps, don't just ever get in a frame of mind that says, yes, this is it. Always be thinking both sides. Where are the bullish arguments? Where are the bearish arguments? Don't be so bearish that you're not bullish, and don't be so bullish that you're not bearish, or you cannot see negativity happening. You only draw lines that represent just one side. Draw maps for multiple analysis, and then what happens is sometimes they start painting the picture. Weakness, weakness. Once you've done all of those analysis from the different lessons, okay, then you start saying a picture starts forming of what the truth really is. Next, keywords can be added to sword cut rectangles, such as the words like time frames of a weekly, daily, and monthly. So I'll type in weekly or se.weekly, se.daily, se.monthly. Not required, but sometimes you may want to use these. There are other important labels that you may want to label, such as small, medium, or large, to place more weight on some of these sword cuts. I'll give you some of those examples of how that works. Okay, next. Sorry, guys. At other times, lines can be faded away to denote that the sword cut line, has already been hit, or to denote weight, like importance as well. If I think it's not that powerful of a sword cut, I may just fade the line away. If I think it's really important, I'll even sometimes increase the color to a fiery, reddish type sword cut. I used to do that a lot in sword method 4.0 and 3.0. Not so much anymore, but I do sometimes just leave the lines overlapping. Now, final thoughts about sword cuts. Remember to zoom out often. To be on the lookout for new, larger energy centers that may have formed or be forming, especially round structures. Okay, in the example that I gave you for was it this one right here, NGI. When we were drawing this sword cut, we initially only had the first angle, which was in blue here. And then later on, we actually realized that after a while, after many, a weekly chart. So after a course of a whole year, price has formed a very large round structure here. Even though there's weakness here, it's still a large round structure. Now we can connect these round structures with these round structures, and we basically have two simple shapes. And we covered this on Saturday. Two large round shapes. The energy centers being here and here. Drawing that angle, which we already have, lets us identify that other sword cut at 26 cents. Okay, so sometimes you don't see that if you're too zoomed in. You need to zoom out often. We can find those types of areas. Okay, in fact, for the purpose of this lesson, I will leave these on like that. Okay. And then finally, like I said before, in all cases, remember that sword method is an art, and the general areas or ranges and structures price forms at those areas are more important than the exact prices. We draw ranges, we draw areas, we look for general structures, we look for general shapes. And one of the other reasons why we always have to do that is because there's a lot of manipulation that happens in the market. A lot of it's temporarily, especially with news. News is always temporarily. You'll see price go one direction and then come right back to those same structures before the end of the day sometimes. News is very short-lived. We almost never see any news that permanently changes price. Usually these things happen or show up in the candles structure themselves. Almost everything. Even that stock market, people are like, oh, the stock market crashed. We found the support way before. It's in the map. It happened before the meeting even happened. Check out I think Melody placed it publicly, our public YouTube video about the stock market crash. We can see the support there. It's on the maps beforehand. And then you can see where the real weakness will happen. The real stock market dips are going to start happening in the next area of weaknesses. And those are on our stock market maps. DJI for Dow Jones Industrial Average and S&P 500 or S&P. Type in those in the search bar, the same search bar, and you'll see those maps. So we can see that sometimes these things happen over a long time. That's why we use art. Because we can't get so caught up in the little day-to-day that we stop seeing the larger energy that's forming before your eyes. Trust your eyes. Trust the shapes. Trust the basic energy. Because it's very expensive to manipulate the market down against years worth of people who have buying and sold, or who are buying and holding, or who are dumping their holdings to start the accumulation phase again. Usually these things need to be taken time. In addition, it's also a benefit to those bulls and bears, because when they buy on the way down, they can only buy and sell in small chunks or in certain blocks. The reason they do that is because if they sell it all at once, they'll drive price temporarily down against their own selves. And that's going to be not cost effective. Meaning if they have a high price and they're trying to get out of a stock, they need to create a buying frenzy so that they can pass off their holders to other people. And in the same way, when they're trying to accumulate or trying to buy up, they want to pay the lowest prices. But if they buy, they're going to drive up the price in the same day, and they're going to be paying a much higher price. They're actually buying against their own buying. They're going to be driving up the price and then paying those prices. So the tactic that they use, and this is taught by Wyckoff, this is taught by Gavin Holmes, Tom Williams from Trade Guider Company. What they do is they buy in little pieces over time. So that just gives more evidence to why news is always temporary, because it's very hard to buy all up in one day. Markets rarely crash in one day. Rarely. Most of the time you can see them dumping their holdings in the past, or you'll see those structures changing, and then price falls. Almost everything is caught in the data. Almost everything. Not everything, but a lot of things. Okay. Let's go and continue with our examples. So we covered CAS, ZEC. We covered ENJ. We covered this example of CAS. Now let's go over some more examples. Here's an example from Euro. Can you spot the missing sword cuts? Let's see if you can find them here. Okay. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, and there you go. We're going to put about 30 seconds on the clock. And go ahead and draw some of the sword cuts you may see in this area. Okay, Vibrant Scout is drawing one over here. She's drawing these lines here and drawing a sword cut approximately here. Okay, that line may need to be drawn better. There's a line being drawn from here to here. Okay, go ahead everybody. You guys can draw. Use the Zoom Annotate. Just click the Annotate button on your phone, tablet, computer. There's some very large ones here. There's probably a very large one, and nobody caught it yet. Okay? All right, think larger. Think about the larger shapes that are happening. Okay, we'll put 10 more seconds, see if anyone can find it. Okay, time's up. I'm going to share one of the answers I have. Here we go. How about this one? Did anybody catch this one? We got a large core here, some core here, and in that break, at the area of the break where we draw our sword cut, this is a monthly chart, by the way, for the Euro USD. This is a Forex pair. We have a large round structure up into the area of the sword cut. And then we get this long spike and stop right here. Why right there? We were there lots of times, right? Nothing was happening, and all of a sudden something happens at the structure. What was happening is that we were forming this uptrend. If we were to cut this line further back down, we can see even there's a little structure on the underside here before going straight up. And this is a little grouping. I don't really usually count those, but that may be added as some of the weight to this line. Okay. Some of you say, I may want to be a little vague and even draw it a little bit higher to include that one. If we were drawing the key angle as a range. Either way, your range is still here and your sword cut would be here. Let me show you what I mean. Say you were just saying, I'm not going to draw this as an exact straight line, but I will draw it as a range to catch all of that. So your block is somewhere about right there, and therefore your sword cut is a very large sword cut, and it may be this long. Either way, you are still successful with your sword cut. Okay? Does this look funny? Okay. Okay, so this is if you wanted to do the range. Now, if you're just being very accurate or trying to find the key angles, or you did core cluster and you were identifying these two areas as those energy centers, either way, you would have been successful. Here's your two energy centers you may have drawn. Now, in this case, it's two peaks, but whether you're drawing as a range or whatever, you still got that sword cut. Okay? Alright, we're going to just type in SC and we're going to just use it like a range. Okay? Let's continue. You got to learn how to open your eyes to see some of these larger sword cuts. This took place over how many years? Here is 1989, by the way. 1989. Here, for this next energy center, is somewhere around 1993. Yet price didn't respond to that area until 1999, or approximately 1998. So we're talking about something back from the 80s that affected price all the way in 1999, right before 2000. Now, why would that be important? Because you have people that have accumulated euro over the years. And when you start seeing round structure right at a sword cut, you start thinking, weakness. Weakness. I'm getting resistance. Your confirmation that month was price responding. And then when we come down, we come right back up to the area with a wick challenge, right to that core area twice. Structure around structure. I can look on a weekly chart at that same area and find that same structure. Got it? Okay. Let's go to the next example. Here's another one. On the same euro on a monthly chart. Let's see. Can anybody find this one? I already clicked it. Here's this one. Look at this one. On the monthly chart, we have core, and this one's actually round too. Round energy center, peak energy center, and there's the break. What we're doing right now, rounding right here. Where should the resistance be? Here. If price is going to go down, it should go down approximately in these areas. If price is going to give us resistance, it should give us resistance approximately in these areas. Now, if you look really carefully, we got a little bit of both. Look at the structure here. It's almost coming up to the peak, but it's building structure at the sword cut. Now, we can see that price is starting to round here, but we're challenging it again. So to take a short right here, I really need to have a strong break to the downside. I would love to have one of these as being a good, nice round structure, but all I have is a peak for my watch line, and maybe this is starting to round. So this might be the next area of weakness once we're in these areas. But as it is, this should be the resistance area. Will it hold? We'll have to do more analysis and combine other things. But right now, that is a perfect example of a sword cut at play. This is from the euro on a monthly chart. Okay. From Algorand, from the weekly chart. This one's on you guys. Okay, this one's going to be, I think this is going to be my challenge one. This is going to be the probably the hardest one. Yep, I have 3 sword cuts on this one, So I want you guys to see if you can catch most of the shortcuts, and I'll let you go. Let me make it full screen. All right, go ahead. I'm gonna put about 40 seconds to a minute on the clock for this one. If you can show your work, go ahead and show your work. Draw your flats. There's about 3 we can draw on here. One of them is going to be a little bit of a challenge. There may be more, but I just catch 3 right now. Good. Good. Okay, any others? Any others? For Algorand. Good. Seeing you guys doing good. Good job. Vibrant. Vibrant's drawing. She's on fire today. Okay. Watch what she's doing. If you guys are watching this lesson later on, you can't see what they're drawing on the Zoom calls. Okay. All right. Let's cover some answers. Here we go. So Vibrant got a few of these. Look at, so here's before, here's after this. I'm going to show you these ones. Okay. So let's cover them. I'm going to remove the, you guys see my mouse? Okay. So let's cover some of these. Here's an easy one back here. It's a little cut off, but this is one of those sword cuts. Where's the break? Approximately here. Here we went down significantly through this range. So the range we covered, you can see we went through there, so it's going to be a wide range for this one. We are going through these candles from approximately here to approximately here, and then we got this range. This is going to be about the range where we're going to look at these areas, okay? So if I was drawing a sword cut, my sword cut would be approximately at those prices. The next one, the next sword cut, oh, what is that? $1.40, $1.45 to $1.50, something like that. The next sword cut we have, Vibrant drew one. Great job. She's doing fantastic, by the way. She drew one from here in this area. I don't even know if I had that one on my chart. It's there. Look at that price. Look at the resistance from this area. All that rejection of that candle. And then the core was here. Right there. That's the meat. And then we got the wick challenge right there. This is a great reversal indicator. Price should be going down at that area. Okay? That'd be a great trade. So if she was looking for weakness, there's weakness, and then we got structure at the sword cut, we can draw another watch line or a smaller parabolic on daily and view the next. This is a weekly chart, yeah, on the daily charts, and we can look in this area for more confirmation that we're going down. So we can read weakness all over that thing. Okay? So that's one. The other ones we can do is by drawing the parabolic in these areas and drawing this all the way to complete our parabolic analysis. So if you did parabolic analysis, you're not just looking for prices to sit on there, but you're also going to be drawing sword cut at the relevant areas. And we're going to be looking for price to give us a bounce or response. If it doesn't, we're going to be looking at those general areas. But approximately that's one sword cut. Now there's another one that I have for you on this same chart. And I'm going to let's erase all of this so I can show you. I have one more. Now this one's a little bit complicated. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to find it. Okay, here it is. If I have in blue an angle approximately here, this may be my key angle, and my adjacent may be up here. Okay, we talk about this in key angles, adjacents, which is basically when we find an energy center that may not be exactly between our two supports, but we may have some evidence that there's a key angle at these areas. So if this is our key angle in blue, and we found a phantom here on top, at the phantom there's also sword cuts that can be created. Okay, So I just want you guys to know, depending on where you are at, if you're able to draw phantoms, when price breaks over those phantoms, prices can be created. And we use those sometimes like weaknesses, or we use those for further weaknesses, for their sicknesses. When price breaks into those areas. Now you'll always see me draw like a red circle on the bottom, a green circle on the top, so I know there's a type of health in this area. And if I see a health, then we can also, if I saw price break up significantly, and that's a significantly, look and see how long it is, right? We can draw the relative sword cut. And now I know if we come back down where we can draw and take the trades in kind. Let's pull up this example live. This is Algorand. I'm going to show you more of what I mean by this. Okay. Let's look at Algorand. Algo. Here we have it on Coinbase. What's it? This one is on Coinbase on the weekly chart. I'll pull up the weekly chart, Algorand, and I'm going to show my lines. Okay. If I was looking on the weekly chart for a bounce to come back down and I wanted to take a trade, can somebody tell me how I might take the trade from here to here? What might I do next? I'm looking at a weekly chart and maybe price is coming up here. We went up significantly, so I'm going to draw my sword cut after we broke from the phantom. How could I take that trade? How might I have navigated that trade? Anybody know? If I wanted to jump on the bag line, do I just have to wait till it all happens? What am I looking for? Okay. This is just help to tie it all back together. And then after this, we're going to go into square, and then we'll be completed. Anybody? Anyone got any bright ideas? That's what I always like to say. Yeah, if I wanted to take this trade, like I wanted to buy Algorand, I'm looking at a weekly chart. How would I have navigated this down move here to take the trade at the sword cut? Would I just buy? Is there any other steps I need to do? Any other things I should have probably done to help me watch it, or preemptively, or to enter? What actions might I have taken to take this particular buy trade at sword cut? Lisa drew this line. Maybe we would have been looking at that line. That line would have pointed to sword cut, or we could have looked to buy here. That's one option. We could have looked to buy at the blue line. Lisa drew it. Great. Lisa Romero drew the answer what I was looking for. She drew a line from here to here, but she didn't explain in the chart. Let's see if anybody explained it in the chat. Okay, the answer is we would draw a watch line on a lower time frame. Okay, this is just bringing it together. Here's my down move. And just say it was December of 2023. And I want to be able to buy at sword cut prices. Now I know already where sword cut price was, because we drew the sword cut. We had the sword cut back in December 4th week. December 4th week. Here we are in December 25th. It's Christmas Eve, and I'm wanting to get a present and buy an algo at a low price at the sword cut. I don't know if I'm just going to buy that sword cut, but I want to know what to look for, the clues that I can buy that sword cut at 15 cents. At the price of Christmas, the price was 23 cents. I don't want to pay 23 cents. I want to pay 15 cents. What might I have done? The answer is the watch line on a lower time frame. So if this is a weekly chart, that means each one of these blocks or bars is 1 week worth of time. December 4th week, December 11th week, December 18th week, and December 25th week. So I might go and zoom in on that area. Let's zoom in to a daily chart. On the daily chart, back in those days, I would have saw this. This is that same area. Here's December 25th right there. And how might I have navigated that? By simply drawing my watch line. I would have done this. Take these two energy centers, bring them down. We're going to be looking for energy to change while we're at sword cut. So I don't want to just be at sword cut. I want to make sure I had a clean break. And when I draw watch lines, I usually draw them dotted, and often I do white. So this, I might have added the keyword watch line daily. Okay, so I know it's a watch line, it's on a daily chart. I know I would have wanted to pay 15 cents, and price came here, but it didn't do nothing for a while. Here's January 23rd, and it didn't do anything all the way until February 4th. That's a long time to wait, right? But it paid off, because once I get a past here in this area, and I'm sword cut still holding, sword cut didn't fail, which sometimes it does. It came into health, and it beat a watch line. I like that, because now I have two structures, this one and this one, that was drawn for that watch line. Actually, I have three structures, by the way. I'll show you. 1, 2, 3. At a sword cut, fantastic. And an area of health, fantastic. This would be the prerequisites for a good trade. I would like that type of trade. So I can use sword cut to know where it's supposed to happen. The other area, if it would have happened not at sword cut and sword cut failed, would have been at the actual angle that created the whole sword cut in the first place, which was down there. And that what means all of this would have been over here at those prices, 13 cents. So we can use this type of technique of using watch lines in conjunction with sword cuts. Okay, so that's why we use watch lines. Here's the other sword cut that is in this area. Sword cut gave us only a small bounce on the daily chart at those prices in that range. We went up, we came down. Have we broken out of the watch line from these areas? Because we have 1, 2, 3, and those would have given us a parabolic. Now this could be drawn as yellow, and this is going to be part of that parabolic. So even though we're at the larger sword cut from this area, I'm still not in a healthy range. If I'm going to be buying price or expect it to move, it might move somewhere above this area. Okay. Now I'm at some low prices, and this is a low, but I'm not really expecting it to do anything until I'm able to clear this next area for Algorand. Okay, so that's a way we can use these watch lines, parabolics, key angles in conjunction with sword cuts. By this time, if sword cut fails, we're going to be looking for other lows for price to hit. In last example, I gave you this one as the potential next low, and if that line is still holding, the truth is we can probably still continue to use it. Do you see? Okay, that's what that means. If this one doesn't hold, we're going to use this parabolic and continue it out further as well. And then we might be expecting prices to fall even lower. Either way, sword cuts should always be combined with one or more analysis. I don't just use sword cuts alone, and they fail sometimes. They fail a lot. They tell us information when they fail. Okay? But we can use them in conjunction with what we're trading. Alright, now I want to explain one other concept, and that is going to be how to square a sword cut. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to square a sword cut. Let me hide my lines, and I'm just going to take a picture to help you understand this concept. Okay? Alright, so the next part we're doing with this lesson, and this is the final part, is how to square it. Now I didn't include slides, I just said see the video because I'm not really sure how to word this, but I'm going to do my best to show you. So the question is, how far should we draw our sword cut? The answer to that question is going to be the square. The square is a general range on how far to draw our sword cut. Okay, so what I mean by this, show you, okay, is that if we are going, and let me pull up this image so I can use straight lines. Let's find the flow of price first for this. Let's do an example live. And the flow of price for this is going to be price coming down, coming up, coming down, and about right there. And so that's going to be a good price flow. Now the energy centers are approximately going to be back here and here. So we have a, is it a straight? Maybe. Let's just say it's a straight. Okay. For all intents and purposes. Or as I like to say, for all those who are intents and have porpoises, which are like type of manatees, I think. And mostly for the Native American people who like tents or people who like camping. Okay. So here's our sword cut. Now how far to draw it? What we're going to do is we're going to take a measurement. And in this case, I'll use this strange type of bright lime green color. Here's the top, and here's the bottom. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the bottom and the top, and we're going to join them together. And it's going to form a square. Okay? Gan does a lot of this. And once we have that, what we're going to do is we're going to complete the square approximately. And then what we can do is we can duplicate the square distance. Okay? Duplicate the square distance. In this case, the measurement is going to be approximately from here to here. Okay? And we're just going to square down, and this might be the distance by which we will be looking, or which we can be looking to complete our sword cut. Oops. So we might want to draw the sword cut approximately there. That's one way we can use that method. Okay. Further investigation needs to be done with the squaring of price in regards to sword cut, because in the same way how we have vortex and point of interception at reversal areas, there may be reversal areas at the squaring of sword cuts in those general ranges, but that's not part of sword method 6.0 at this moment. But just so you know, that's approximately how far we can draw it. Now you can draw it forward, but you don't really need to draw it so far in the future. It can be drawn farther, but as a general rule of thumb, duplicating the square distance. Remember, I said as a general rule, not as the rule. There's not a single rule on how far you can or cannot draw sword cuts. They still may be active over a long period of time, but as a good general rule, looking for that square. Now, if price went farther into the past, and I had more verification in the past, I might have to definitely increase that distance. Okay, but on this chart, that's approximately how far to go. All right. Let's use another example. Let's pick a crypto. Somebody give me a random crypto. Put a random crypto in the chart. Any crypto. Something that I can find on TradingView. BTT. Okay. Here's BTT on crack, and let's see if I can quickly find some sword cut. All right, great, perfect. Okay, let's do something. Okay. There's two sword cuts we'll square for this chart. Number one, we're going to square the sword cut in this area. Let's just say, let's take the foundational area, how it started, these two areas here, stretch it out, making sure we're keeping our eyes on that area. It probably could be a little bit higher. Okay, so there's an example of sword cut in a foundational area. This is a daily chart. My sword cut for this example would be where I cross over in that area right there. So that's where my rectangle would need to go, approximately there. If BTT were breaking above right now, I would probably be looking for BTT to continue maybe a little bit higher, or if it does, it might find resistance approximately in that range. Now it's in blue. See the two blue numbers? If you don't see that, you can always go to your settings. Should show right there on the bottom, right next to me. And let's see, if I go to more settings, under status line, symbols for mapping labels, it should show them. I'm not sure how to adjust those settings right now, but mine shows in blue. I hope yours shows. If yours doesn't show in blue, maybe shoot me an email, we'll figure it out. But otherwise, I can type in those 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 10. So we're looking about 5 zeros 11 to 5 zeros 10. And I can adjust those to the top side. Now, if I wanted to square it and see approximately how far I should draw it, I could take the bottom, I could take the top, may even take the extremes just to be on the safe side, and there's my square. Approximately there. Okay, does that make sense? So I'm going to take that distance of the square, duplicating that distance out, and that might be approximately how far I might want to draw my sword cut. Okay. This is a quick example of how to square that price. Okay. Now the reason some of this works, by the way, is because price always needs a resolve. So we're going to cover that more in Sword Method 7.0, but as of right now, we're just sticking to these basics that we already have. All right, now here's another sword cut on the same chart. This area from down here, let's simplify it more by going to a higher time frame, like a weekly chart. These candles should look a little more clear, and so they do. Okay, we can see that there were structures, 1, 2, a little bit 3, and then finally our health, which is great. After price sat on top of that key angle, price shot up. Fantastic. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to draw the sword cut in that range. Now, this one may be a little bit a wider range, but it's approximately there. And then we're going to stretch it out. Now, how far should we stretch this one out? Would you guys like to try on my screen, approximately? See if you can do it. Okay, we'll put about 30 seconds on the clock. Anybody want to attempt to square it? Good, got the first part. Draw a line down here. Good, draw a line right here. Good, square. Okay. Then you can eyeball it too. Good, draw the top. Good. So about how far do we draw? Okay, so she's taking the distance. She's drawing the distance from here to here. That's fantastic. She took that, she duplicated it. She can't move it, but go ahead and eyeball it. Okay. How far do we approximately draw? There it is. She eyeballed it, it's approximately over here. And that's fantastic. Okay, good work. Good work. Basically, she drew the bottom, finished the square. Okay, and then just take the distance, these areas, moved it over here, and that's approximately how far we should move the sword cut. Okay, so that's another example of squaring the price. Now, if we don't see, my theory is that if we do not see a resolve and price ever come back to sword cut before approximately September of 2025, we may see price move up either way because of the squaring of price. Okay, but that's a little advanced. Okay, that's my theory. We need more back testing on that to start teaching that. Although again, probably already is far into that when teaching the square. I still want a way to teach the squaring of price strictly visually, rather than using math and calculators. Like, I love trend lines. I love something I can wrap my hands around and see. So I want to do these more. But yes, that's approximately the distance we might use for the squaring of this price. Fantastic. Okay, does everybody feel like they got that? Do you guys have any other questions regarding sword cut, something I might have missed from our initial presentation that I can share with you guys? Anyone else? Wonderful, wonderful. Anyone else? Huh? All right. All right, so that's going to end our tutorial today for Sword Method lesson number 9. Next week, we're going to be covering over lesson unit 3C, the final flat family member called Thundercuts. It's going to be a fun analysis. I don't do it nearly as enough in ChartRoom. There's not enough times to do Thundercut, and there's not enough examples, I think, of Thundercuts, because sometimes they're very far out into the future, or into the sky, or into the low. But during flash crashes, some of these are going to be really important sword cut flats, and I'm going to show you guys how to do them. It's actually not that hard. It's actually very fun, very simple. If you're familiar with Tiger analysis, this is going to be just like a hop, skip, and a jump. It's just going to be like another tool added to your tool belt. Tiger and Thundercuts are basically best friends. So if you've already taken our Thundercut, our Tiger lessons, we teach about Tiger, and let's see, did we teach Tiger here yet? Nope, we're going to be teaching it in the future. And our sword method 5.0, I believe it's lesson number 6? Yep, 7. Tiger analysis. Sword method 5.0, if you guys want to get a head start on Tiger analysis, look right there. Otherwise, from this lesson number 10, Thundercuts, we're going to move into Tiger in the following weeks. So I'm so glad that you guys are here through the filming. Remember, this is never financial investment or trading advice of any kind. I sure do love you guys.